Right. So today before we proceed, we are looking at some great Krishna devotees to understand how great devotees balance their lives, balance their duty to the body, that is their family, and also to the soul, right? So this is Mafatlal is a very great businessman, and his wife also, they are both great devotees, right? And they have done a lot of service to the Krishna consciousness movement. Here we can see that he has said that chanting Hare Krishna has helped me face all ups and downs in my life with a great confidence and peace of mind. So it's not that problems will not come in life. Krishna is saying there will be sadness, happiness, there will be ups, downs, there will be success, defeat, failures, right? But what will Gita help you if you keep on understanding Gita? Your love for Krishna will increase and it will help you to face all these ups and downs with lot of confidence and peace of mind. Okay. Now the second person is Dr. T.D. Singh. He was a great scientist and he was also a teacher of the Hindu sciences. He said that humility and submission to higher authority, that is Krishna, they are essential for you to receive the knowledge of God. Without humility, without submission, you can't get the knowledge of God. So his full name is Taudam Damodar Singh. He is a PhD. And you can all research about these famous people. I'll share this PDF in the group and you can look more about them. There are lots of interviews, lots of information. So he's a scientist in the physical organic chemistry in the University of California in USA. And he has then, started teaching a lot about the Hindu religion, about Krishna, especially love for Krishna. He has spoken a lot. You can listen on YouTube also. This is a very famous person called Alfred Ford. He's the son of the Henry Ford, the founder of the Ford Motor Industries. And here you can see his pictures as he was young, and then you can see when he was, by the time he's for so many years, I think almost 40 years, he was a ISKCON Krishna devotee, and his whole family used to chant. Alfred Nobel, he's a billionaire for 4 decades, almost 40 years. They have been chanting Hare Krishna, the Maha Mantra, every day from 4 a.m. The whole family will chant. And only at 9 o'clock, he starts his office work. And he says that for me, Alfred Ford is saying that for me, the most important thing is to spread the Hindu knowledge about the soul. The knowledge that you are the soul is most important, he says. This is more important than any other knowledge, and it is my main priority. So although, in the field of education in school, they're not teaching this most important knowledge, there are many people who are slowly understanding that it's important to teach our children from a young age about the soul. Just because it is not a material knowledge and you can't see it with your senses, doesn't mean that we say it's not there. We have to accept that there is something called transcendental knowledge, and the education field needs to start teaching this to the children. Many countries are teaching this, knowledge is being taught in schools. This is being given, but still not done in India. And so here we have a whole news article. If you Google, you will find out about how Alfred Nobel, Lord Krishna's billionaire servant, he has contributed a huge lot of money for the building of the temple in Mayapur, which is the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So here he's saying whether he's at home or in the office, he's not just in the morning. Throughout the day, he is, chanting Krishna's names, and that is giving him a lot of power, a lot of support, and it's making him understand that this is the purpose of life. This is another person, Dr. Kenneth Valpy. He is a co-director of Bhagavad Puran Research Project, and he has initiated many good projects. He teaches now in the University of Oxford, and he did his PhD based on Vaishnava temple practices. He did a whole PhD based on Vaishnava temple practices. Read more about him, Dr. Kenneth Valpy. Here we can see how he says that he teaches courses on Indian religion. He is a practitioner of the Vaishnava Hindu philosophy, and how he, whenever he gets time, he goes into the hills with nature and he sings bhajan and kirtan. He wants to do so many things related to his spiritual life. We have this very famous person who is called Ilan Chester. He was a Grammy Award winner. He's in the field of music. He got the Latin Grammys, and he also teaches the Krishna consciousness message. He was a Venezuelan musician, and he was a Srila Prabhupada devotee. So these are some great devotees. Ilan Chester, as we can see over here, he spread the Krishna conscious movement. And if I share this PDF, you can read more about it. How does Krishna and Srila Prabhupada inspire your life? Look at the center of this slide. He says, in my life is quite a big question for a struggling devotee. A devotee, struggles to balance his life, and how he practices everyday meditation, how he tries to incorporate chanting every day. And he says that once you come into this, you understand Srila Prabhupada's teachings, you will realize that this is really the purpose of life. And he's so proud about his connection with Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, about Krishna consciousness. He's so proud that he belongs to the ISKCON movement. And his message to the younger generation is he wants to tell the children and the young people that, the idea of fame, though he won the Grammy Award, he's saying that the idea of fame is not really what he is looking forward. Ultimately, he thinks that people, they worship all these pop lords and all these people because they are not connected with Krishna. And when he got initiated into ISKCON, his name changed to Havi, and he says that his main aim is to reconnect people with Krishna, and to make them understand that they are actually lovers and friends of Krishna. And he's waiting to start full-fledged and get into doing this important work of teaching people about Krishna. All of you must have heard about George Harrison. He's a lead guitarist of the big group Beatles.
And the Beatles.
The Beatles group. And he also he has said that all you need in this world is love for Krishna. And he has made a lot of, he didn't like people using his name to get other people into ISKCON, but he truly understood and believed about the power of the Hare Krishna. So he says that if you open your heart in this song, the lyrics of the song is, if you open your heart, you will know what I mean. We have been polluted for so long, but here's a way to clean. The chanting of names actually will clean your mind. So Hare Krishna movement is actually helping everyone to understand the power of loving Krishna, which you can develop by chanting, right? So it's very nice that all of you are present. I just didn't hear only Arav and Arth today. Let's quickly revise chapter 3 before we go to transcendental knowledge. Today we will understand the chapter 4 about transcendental knowledge, which is anything which is not material is transcendental. That which is not, that which is spiritual is transcendental. So in chapter 3, what did we learn? First, we learned Arjuna asking Krishna. In the first two, he was asking Krishna, what is it you want me to do? Then Krishna explains that you are thinking that when I'm telling you renounce, you should stop doing your duty. He says, no, true renunciation is when you do your duty with the spirit of love for Krishna, then it is renunciation. You don't have to stop doing your work and then sit in one corner and chant. You don't need to do that. Of course, you need to chant for some time every day, totally devoted to Krishna, but that doesn't mean that whole day you stop all your work. And he talks about mithyachar. Who are the mithyachar? They are the pretenders. Some, great sages are, they'll pretend that I'm a sannyasi, but they are actually not sannyasi. They are still having desires, material desires. Then we learned about the yoga ladder. We learned that first kind of people are those who are totally karmis. They're very materialistic people. First, they think there are two options: good, we should do good things or bad things. Then they are totally materialistic. All they want is to enjoy with their sense organs. Then comes karma kanda, where they start understanding that if we follow the Vedas, then we will get prosperity, we will get riches, we'll get what we want. And slowly only they will come to karma yoga, where they will have some attachment. There are two steps there. Sakam, that means with attachment, and nishkam means without attachment. So the first step to start your spiritual journey or your connection with Krishna is to is with Sakam Karma Yoga. You start your journey by doing your duties. You may have some desires, but still you are doing it for Krishna. Then we learned about exemplary lifestyle, and we learned that the biggest challenge is lust. We understood difference between love and lust. So let's begin today's class. I want you all to listen attentively. The transcendental knowledge. Here we are going to understand, when we begin the chapter of transcendental knowledge, we understand what is spiritual education. What are you learning in the spiritual education? Why does Krishna appear? Why does Krishna come on this earth? Where does he come? What is the law of karma? So we'll be studying in this chapter history of Bhagavad Gita. Why Krishna chose Arjuna? Why is Arjuna the person chosen for the Gita? When and why and how did Krishna appear? And we will understand the different misinterpretations about the four divisions of human society. There are Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. But this is not understood properly. So we will be going through these verses. Nisha is traveling today. I'm still listening. Okay. So in this chapter, today we will be doing verses 4.1 to 4.10. In the fourth chapter, today we'll only do 1 to 10. There's lots more to learn, but we will learn what is eternal education from these verses, right? So in 4.1, the first verse, Krishna says, Imam vivasvate yogam roktavanaham avyayam vivasvan manave praha manurikshvakave bravi. So he's saying in this verse that the knowledge was first given by me, that is Krishna, to the sun god, that is Vivaswan. The sun god is also called Vivaswan. And he says that this Gita was actually the origin, the history of Gita is years ago when it was first taught to Vivaswan. And then Vivaswan taught this knowledge was then given to the father of mankind, Manu, okay, unto the king Ikshvaku and then Manu. So let's look at 4.2. In 4.2, it says that the supreme science, Bhagavad Gita, is a supreme science. It has come down in a disciplinic succession, evam parampara praptam. And this disciplinic succession, in course of time, it got broken. Krishna says that people, they start using Gita to give their selfish, they put their greed and selfish teachings into it. And so the original purity of the teaching gets lost. And that is why he comes again to teach the Gita to Arjuna. So in the beginning, when was the Gita given? It was first taught to Vivaswan, the sun god, who then gave this knowledge to Vivaswan. He taught this knowledge to Manu, and Manu gave it to King Ikshvaku, and then it came down from there, right? So remember this bit, because we have the quiz also at the end. And then, so here we are going to learn who is eligible, who can get this knowledge of Gita. All of you have come to this Gita class now, right? It shows that you are eligible, you are suitable. God has chosen you as being suitable to hear the Gita, right? And from whom should you hear it? What is it? What is the Gita all about? So in verse 4.3, we come to know that. So what did we, let's revise. In 4.1, Krishna says he taught it to sun god taught it to Manu taught it to Ikshvaku. In 4.2, we learned that in this way, in Parampara, the Gita was being taught, but somewhere the science appears to be lost, right? It got lost because people started explaining it in their own way. And then in 4.3, we come to know that Krishna says that this ancient science of the relationship of human beings or living entities with Krishna is being told to Arjuna. Why? Why is Arjuna chosen? Because He is his devotee and friend. So who is eligible to study Gita? One who is a devotee of Krishna and one who is a friend of Krishna. If you consider Krishna to be your well-wisher who really cares for you, and if you become a devotee of Krishna, only then you can start understanding this mysterious science which is transcendental in nature about Gita. Okay, children? That is why I spend so many classes trying to tell you that Krishna is Bhagavan, Krishna is God. If you don't understand this basic thing, you'll not be able to understand the Bhagavad Gita, right? And then so let's look at the next. Yeah, if the class gets over, please join again because I want to complete up to verse 10 today, and also, if possible, read a little bit of Krishna's story. So from this 4.3 verse, we come to know when Krishna is saying that, Arjuna, I want to tell you the Gita because you are my devotee and you are my friend. You are both my devotee and my friend. So we come to know that Krishna is saying that this Gita is for one who is a devotee and friend and who really wants to know about the Gita, that is relevant inquiry, and one who is ready to follow the instructions. If you're ready to follow the instructions, then you must read the Gita. Next, from whom should we read the Gita? So here we learn about different sampradayas which are similar to universities. Suppose you want to be a surgeon, you want to grow up and you want to become a brain surgeon, or you want to become a heart surgeon, a neurosurgeon, or you want to be a pediatrician. You can't say that I'm going to read lots of books, I'll buy all the textbooks, I'll watch lots of YouTube videos, I'll Google, and then I'll put a board that now I'm ready. You can come to me, I can do a heart surgery. Can you do that? Will anybody trust you if you just read a lot of information from the book, and if you watch a lot of YouTube videos and say now I can do a surgery because I have watched so many YouTube videos, I've studied a lot of self-study, you can become a doctor like that? Can you? No, right? No, you have to study from authentic universities, and the better, the more authentic the university is, the big hospitals will be able to recruit you, and then you will be approached by patients, and you can start your work as a heart surgeon. Any line you want to go, you will search for authentic universities. Similarly, if you want spiritual knowledge, don't listen to anybody around who is giving it to you. You must try to follow some sampradaya. You must try to see whether this guru is eligible. Actually, the eligibility of a guru is one who has no, selfish desire at all. The only purpose is to give you that understanding. That's all. So that's a pure nature of a guru you can understand, who has no selfish motive. He only wants you to understand the beauty of bhakti and to understand that love for God is a supreme. Have you heard of Kabir's Doha? पोथी पढ़ी जगमुआ पंडित भयानक कोई ढाई आखर प्रेम का पढ़ी so pandit hoy. So ultimately the knowledge is to understand the love for Krishna, and that you just can't get by these words. You have to experience that through your intellectual process, understand it through your mind, then have the power over your senses and body, and then your soul will be able to remove this enemy of lust or desires, which requires a lot of practice, and then you will be able to love Krishna with a pure heart, right? And that comes through sampradaya. So here you can see in this is from the Padma Purana, actually, this about the sampradaya. It says that any mantra, if it's not in the disciplinic succession, it becomes useless. Actually, you don't really get the gist of it. So there are 4 disciplinic schools, like 4 main universities. The founders of these are the Vaishnav Sampradayas. There is a Lakshmi Sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Sanak Rishi Sampradaya. So these are the 4 main universities for you to get the spiritual knowledge. Now, here it is said that there are different main people who are chosen to give this. For example, in the Brahma Sampradaya, Ramanujam was chosen for the Shri Sampradaya, right? Madhavacharya was chosen as the guru for the Brahma Sampradaya. Vishnu Swami was chosen for Rudra Sampradaya, and Nimbaditya was chosen for the Kumara Sampradaya. So now I wonder, what are we doing? Which sampradaya we study getting the spiritual knowledge from? We are right now getting it from Srila Prabhupada, who is the 32nd member of the Madhava Gauriya Sampradaya, which is in the Brahma Madhava Gauriya Sampradaya. So it is actually from the original, from Krishna gives the teaching to Brahma, and from Brahma, Madhavacharya is chosen, and the 32nd devotee, after so many important devotees, is Srila Prabhupada, who comes in this age very close. He just, he is very close. He was not very long back, and that's why his learnings are so fresh, and he is in the Madhavacharya Brahma Madhava Gauriya Sampradaya. Okay, so that is why in this thing we can see in this slide, we are just seeing how we need to follow the Sampradaya to be able to understand the true teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. And you can be happy and proud that you're learning from the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, who is the 32nd in the line of the Brahma Sampradaya, right? In the verse 4.4, so in 4.3, we learn about the Sampradaya. In 4.4, Arjuna is asking this question, right? You will also ask, suppose somebody just comes and tells you, okay, I'm going to teach you what I taught sun god long back. You wonder how come. So Arjuna and Krishna are in the same age. They're born in the same age. They're hardly, very different in age also. So Arjuna says, how come you are saying that you were there long back, when teaching the sun god? And when you are actually in my same time you're existing, I can't understand how you're saying that. That is when Krishna will explain. He says that many births you and I have passed. I remember all the births. Krishna is God, is the ultimate personality of Godhead, and he says that I have gone through so many births, you have also gone through countless births, but you don't remember. Do any of us remember all our births? Last birth, what happened last birth, how many births? We don't remember. Okay, because we are the Jiva, and Paramatma, the God, he knows about all the births, about time from the origin till the end, he knows everything. In Brahma Samhita, which is, which is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, without any beginning, he has expanded into unlimited forms. Krishna has come in unlimited forms. Although we say Dashavatara, Krishna actually has unlimited forms. He is the same original, the oldest person appearing as a fresh youth. And such eternal, blissful, all-knowing forms of Lord can be understood by Vedic scholars, right? Somebody who has studied all the Vedas and all will know this. But there's something very important. One who is a devotee of Krishna, who loves Krishna, will also be given this knowledge about Krishna's transcendental appearances. So Krishna appears in this material world in 4.6 we see in his original form with two hands holding a flute. He actually appears in his eternal body uncontaminated by the material world. He is not affected by the material world. So understanding that Krishna actually comes into this world in his original form itself will make you ready for transcendental knowledge. It makes you ready to understand spirituality. In verse 6, Krishna is saying, although I am unborn, Krishna has no birth at all. His transcendental body never deteriorates. And although I am the Lord, Krishna is the Lord, he still appears again and again in his original transcendental form. So the Lord has spoken about the peculiarity of his birth. We will be studying about Krishna's birth. Although he appears like an ordinary person, he is not actually made of flesh and bone and blood like us. He's actually transcendental. And he only appears to us like that just for the sake of Leela. And we'll see in the next verses why he appears like that. If someone is asked what he did exactly at the same time one day earlier, we are not able to remember. But Krishna is someone who can recall everything, and he knows everything that's happening to everyone. So that is verse 6. Verse 4.7, I think Ritika had learned this verse, no? 4.7?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, can you say this verse and also read the translation?
Yes, ma'am. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhyuttanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyam. Translation. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice or descendant of Bharata and a predominant rise of irreligion, at time that at time that I descend myself.
Yeah. So whenever there is irreligion, whenever there is, people are not doing their dharma or their duties, that is when Krishna comes. Why does he come? 4.8. Arav, you had learned this, no, Arav? Arav?
Ma'am, can I read?
Yeah. Actually, there's only 1 minute less left, so you can read it, but then